subscription-based opportunities for people who might not have access otherwise. The entire US bank footprint can become an entrepreneurial support region, just how to access and facilitate the content using artificial intelligence.
Hey guys, Jim Manning here with another next chapter segment of the Passive Wealth Show. So what we do is we have 130 partners that are either financially free or on their path that are building passive wealth with our organization. And it's really gotten me curious though, what happens for those of us that are financially free? What happens for those of us that have already exited and transitioned from being a business owner into the next chapter of their life? And so today we have Carlton Robinson on the line. And Carlton has had a variety of different successes. And he also, several years ago, owned a business for 7 years back in the BlackBerry era. And he's operated as a chief innovative officer, and now has some really amazing things going on with a company called Pivot City Copilot. So, Carlton, excited to have you on. Can you add on any background, anything that I missed in that introduction?
Thanks for having me, Jim. And what I would add to that is, I've spent probably the last 12 to 15 years supporting entrepreneurs in my role at the Chamber of Commerce. And so I've, helped a lot of small business owners kind of make the decision about either scaling the business or moving towards selling the business and creating passive income after they've exited. And so, as well as my own experience, running a lot of pilots and services with new technologies to try to create additional income streams.
Oh, yeah, that's really neat. Well, let's dive into like that passive income portion that you just mentioned, and then we'll kind of get into your story and what you're up to today. Yeah, tell me more about that.
From the helping small business owners perspective?
Well, just for maybe for you from you on an individual level. Yeah.
Yes. So for me, as an individual, I had my own company for about 7 years. And when I left the company, we still had service contracts. So when I started the business, it was more about those daily transactions and how much money could we generate per month and per year. And then as we progressed, it was about how many of those service contracts could we create without actually performing the work ourselves. And so when I left the business, we still had about 5 to 7 years worth of income. Even though I was in the next chapter and doing work supporting the entrepreneurial community, I was able to amass some revenue streams and some investment capital, even though I had exited the business.
That's amazing. Yeah, I mean that's so powerful to have income streams like that. Now, did they end up? Do you still have some of them access to some of them now, or are they all kind of run their course since this was several years ago?
So some of them I converted into investments. As I moved into the next chapter, I converted some of them into investments, and then others I used to invest into technology to try to create additional revenue streams. So I think when you're an entrepreneur, you're always looking for ways to kind of satisfy, this urge to create and grow things. And so I've had, maybe 2 or 3 initiatives that I've invested in. One was, about 5 or 6 years ago, built a permission blockchain network. So we were kind of first to market in that. And unfortunately, we weren't able to scale that. So sometimes you're investing and looking to create these revenue streams and they don't work out. And so my recommendation there would be to kind of have 2 or 3 of those and understanding, that at least one of them, if you're following all of the right steps, you're going to have some success. May not be at the rate that you would like, but you got to have 2 or 3 of these, passive stream attempts is what I would call them, in order to get at least 1 or 2 of them to work for you.
That's yeah, interesting. So then now you're doing some big things with generative AI and entrepreneurship education. We just need to get there, man, because what you were, we were talking before the recording, and he mentioned that. I'm like, okay, this sounds so interesting. Um,
Yeah,
so
yeah. So
let's
this,
kind of let's dive into this a little bit. So, um, yeah, I don't even know the right question on where to start. So just help me out here and start
okay.
talking about
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. So I'll start with, just kind of having that entrepreneurial spirit and always searching for those different streams of income that you could create, and then having a background in technology. There's so much technology every single day that's in front of us. And if we were to look at the evolution of the phone when I was working on Blackberries to what we have today, we have computers today. We had handheld phones, 15, 20 years ago. But the technology evolution is the thing that gives, I think, all of us an opportunity to create, different streams of income. Every one of your listeners right now has the ability to take their expertise and with all of the different types of generative AI today, they could form their own GPT, and then they could offer subscriptions, or they could offer different types of services that are practically automated. And I think that's a big race today for those who understand the technology. For me, and I mentioned about creating a permission blockchain platform, and our goal was to create this platform and then have enterprise users to purchase a subscription for us and to use it and to scale it. We were one of the first to market in this area, and it didn't scale because enterprises liked the product, but they wanted us to help build their own product versus using ours. So that was kind of one of those things where we were quite challenged, and we shut that project down. We were able to generate revenue. We were on the positive side, and we had, all of this infrastructure and understanding. But the end goal was to create uh, artificial intelligence to help with outputs. Well, we couldn't do that. And then a few years ago, Chat GPT comes out, and that was kind of the end game for us. And when Chat GPT allowed for individual users to create their own GPTs as a developer, that really changed the game and opportunity. And so for the last year, we've been experimenting with four or five different use cases that we think can be extremely beneficial for you know those who help entrepreneurs, institutes of higher learning, and even enterprises that have vendor programs. And so once we're able to get those use cases out, we think that we can offer subscriptions and create, just a ton of opportunity for others to do the same thing, but then also for us to create, some income streams.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. So let's dive into one of the use cases then, that you're working on.
Yeah, so last month I gave a speech at Marshall University and talked about the impact of generative AI to scale entrepreneur support. So if we think about those of us that live in metropolitan areas and have at least 150, 200,000 people, we kind of have, ecosystems of support. We've got banks, we've got enterprises, we've probably got a academic institution. We have a place that we can go to get entrepreneur support. But the majority of America lives in areas that don't have a college or university right there in the city. They don't have the same amount of resources. And so if I have a great entrepreneurial idea, where do I go to get support? Where do I go to get high level support? And so if we were to take, we were in West Virginia at Marshall University, and the majority of West Virginia is rural. And so if Marshall University were to have a great entrepreneur development program with AI, they'd be able to automate some of those services into communities that currently don't have the ability to support entrepreneurs. And all they would need is a phone or a connection to do a Zoom, And now we're scaling resources, we're reallocating resources. And again, it opens the opportunity for subscription-based opportunities for people who might not have access otherwise. And that's just one use case. We can use the same application, whatever your favorite bank is. What's your favorite bank, Jim?
Oh man, I don't know if I have a favorite bank. I have an account with US Bank.
Okay, and so US Bank may have a number of branches there in your region, right?
Yep.
And so imagine US Bank utilizing uh, generative AI and very specific learning paths. And at least one person in every bank could help entrepreneurs, every bank. So that means that the entire US Bank footprint can become an entrepreneurial support region. And today, that doesn't happen. We're just going into the bank for a transaction rather than it being a resource center. And so generative AI gives us the ability to extend capacity of current resources that we have already. And it's super, super exciting because it doesn't require us to master the content, just how to access and facilitate the content using artificial intelligence.
Oh, that is nice. So as you look through, like kind of going forward, do you kind of foresee this really being the stamp of your career and kind of like the like diving into this and the next couple decades, or like what
Oh
do you
man.
well, yeah, like what are you thinking?
You know, I definitely see this being a stamp. And here's a couple reasons why. I've spent, the last 10 or so years, I developed an entrepreneurial program. We've had about 3,000 entrepreneurs go through, and it's been amazing. But what this has the potential to do is if you have a great program, you can scale it to where others can receive benefits as well. And generative AI and pre-trained models. So this is me training a model to think and strategize and formulate and provide frameworks for thinking for others, but with my experience. So that means Jim can do my job, portion of helping entrepreneurs, without having to have 10 to 15 years of experience. So I've got a lot of bruises from things that I've had to learn. I can just give kind of this entire neural network to Jim, show him the different learning paths, how to facilitate people down those paths. And Jim looks like an amazing resource provider for helping entrepreneurs as if he's been doing it for 10 years without having the experience. And no one would ever know that you don't have the experience because you've been trained on how to use this particular model. And so I think those are, if we're looking for impact and contributing and making a difference in an industry and in community, this is one of the ways right now of doing it. And just for helping the audience to kind of frame the impact of generative AI and AI in general. So there's it's called Moore's law in the processing. If we think about computer processing, it doubles every 2 years, right? And so with AI, it's doubling almost every 6 months. So that means if Jim and I are tackling the same problem, and I approach it using AI today, and it takes Jim 18 to 24 months before his solution comes to market. My solution and processing is 16 times faster than what you're going to do in 2 years because it's been doubling almost every 6 months. And I had this conversation with my daughter, and she's like, Dad, that's like two people looking to solve a problem with an iPhone, and one person's using the iPhone 1 and the other's using the iPhone 15. So if we think about the opportunities that we have today with technology and even creating businesses and digital twins of ourselves, we have the ability to create income streams from those.
And then so then basically it's someone gets a subscription because you've pre-trained it to be really good at entrepreneurial education or
Yes. So we
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, we have the ability right now to create Jim's digital twin, and maybe Jim is giving classes on how to create passive income, and maybe he creates 15 of those in 15 different verticals. You've trained it which questions to answer, you've identified prompts, you've identified this user interface, and you have the ability to update it, every month. And you could have subscribers to each of those, or to a group of those, or to one of those. And each of those creates a subscription opportunity that creates passive income for the digital twin of Jim.
Man, these AIs are going to be working for us one day, and like, I don't know what we'll be doing. Maybe we're going to go golf or something.
Well, so the one thing we haven't taught them yet, and I think this is always going to be the case for us, is empathy. Our ability to see a face, to read body language, to understand a feeling, and to kind of change course with our line of questioning. As of today, artificial intelligence and computers can't do that yet. Now, OpenAI just launched something that might challenge that here soon. But overall, we still need people, we still need engagement, systems of engagement, and someone has to be there to train AI.
A wild world we live in. That's right. What's the AI announcement or what's coming? I haven't heard that.
So OpenAI just launched their most recent version of ChatGPT. It's ChatGPT 4, and it has like a little O for omnichannel. And what they've done is the ability for you to have a companion. You literally could talk to uh, ChatGPT in a conversational manner, and it's as if it's a human. It has the ability to analyze documents and spreadsheets. They've really trained it on a different scale than simply just using it to generate content. So now there's engagement opportunities with AI in these different training models.
Wow. Wow.
But it's exciting. It's exciting, and I think I would challenge all of your listeners. When we think about AI, to move away from simply entering something into a chat and getting a response, and really thinking about, in my own business, what ways can we extend capacity with AI, and what ways can we automate, in what ways can we be more efficient? How can we use it to summarize and do, tasks that slow us down? How can we utilize AI for those things, and really, really, really take our businesses and our own productivity to another level? If each of us had, an extra 3 to 5 hours per week to think about how we could create more income, or how we could, develop more subscriptions. That's a lot of valuable time that most of us don't have. And I think those are ways that we can use artificial intelligence to really, really, really change how we operate and engage. And it looks like we might get the digital twin of Jim after this.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, being that I have my own podcast and my voice is out there too, I know there's tools out there that can take audio files and then have it sound just like you too, right? So
Yeah,
uh, it's it's an interesting world. I think the cybersecurity companies are happy about it. There's a
yes.
lot of job security with going into that right now too. So, well, this has been fantastic, Carlton. So interesting to hear you talk about this. As we kind of wrap up the call, I mean, is there anything else like that you've been working on, or anything else that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, so I think, and again, I don't have any uh, endorsements that I'm giving. I'm really just talking about technology and where I think it can go, and how all of us can, use that technology to potentially create more revenue streams. I would encourage everyone to go to their local Apple store and experiment with the Vision Pro. The first iteration of this technology is a little bit heavy and it won't be mainstream. But if you experiment with this, what you'll see is the next chapter of what we call spatial interaction. It's immersion. So imagine we're on this show and we were immersed in this show with Apple Vision Pro, and it gives the look and feel as if I'm in your office right now, to the point where I could see the pores on your skin. I could see the different wrinkles and texture of your shirt, and it feels like I'm there, but I'm in the headset.
So I had coffee with a friend this morning, and we were talking about how webcams need to be like in the middle of a computer monitor where you can like actually like look at it to get that immersion feeling. But well, yeah, what you're talking about is actually probably even better. Like, yeah, you don't have a webcam. You
Yeah,
you have it where you're feeling like you're there. That's even
yeah,
better.
it is. The Apple Vision Pro has it's a 180 feel to it. So you have it on, and if you look, it's 180 degrees. Uh, I went to Norway in the Apple Vision Pro and did some highlining, uh, 2 miles up in the air, and had to duck from a helicopter, and it felt like I was there. And so if we think about the impact of creating different types of shows and engagement and education in a spatial manner that allows us to take students, learners, and our audience to a place that they may never go, but if they're with us using this type of technology, it's a whole new experience, probably whole new offerings that we've never considered. And it's just, I'm excited about the technology and the ability to teach other entrepreneurs how to, take things that they do very well and create subscription opportunities to generate revenue.
Oh, that's great. So if anyone wants to get a hold of you, what's a good way to do that?
So the best way is LinkedIn. So Carlton Robinson, DBA on LinkedIn, or they can email me at carlton.robinson@gmail.com.
Well, that's great. Well, thank you so much for coming on, and guys, thanks for tuning in. We will see you next time. Have a nice day, guys. Bye.
All right. Thanks, Jim.